don't have anything to disclose. So I'm about 4.5 years into my lipedema journey. I started in September 2020 when I diagnosed myself, like I'm sure many of us here have. In September 2021, I got my first official diagnosis. I had 4 surgeries since then, more on the horizon. But after these 4.5 years, I have started to come up with some strategies, some tools to be able to create a personalized care plan, because living with lipedema or any other chronic illness is this ongoing, evolving journey. And whether you're in the seeking a diagnosis stage or you're exploring conservative treatments, you're trying to figure out if surgery is right for you, if you're going through surgery, trying to recover, adjusting to life post-op, there are things that you just need to be able to get through this journey effectively. So here today, I want to talk a little bit about this framework that I've put together. My inner marketer loves an acronym, so I came up with the ALIGN framework. And these 5 things are just foundational strategies. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to tell you I figured it out, because I don't have a clue most days, but I'm trying to tell you what has worked for me to help me figure it out, because this is not easy. So no matter where you are in this journey, hopefully some of these strategies can provide a foundation for you to move forward with some strength and some confidence. The first thing, assess and educate. What kind of person are you? Are you the detail-oriented person that needs every last little piece of information before you can move forward? Or are you a give me the Cliff Notes version of lipedema so I can figure out what to do next? You have to figure that out, because that determines what path you go down in terms of getting the resources, the access, the support that you need. Along that path, you need to tune out the noise. This is going to get increasingly difficult for us, because the good news is there's a lot of awareness. The bad news is there's a lot of awareness. So that means a lot of people have a lot of opinion about these bodies, what we should eat, what we shouldn't eat, how we should move it, what we shouldn't take, if medicine's right, if surgery's right, should we have surgery, what's natural. Let me tell you right now, nothing about this disease is natural. So whatever you need to do to take care of yourself and get it sorted out, that's for you to figure out what's best for your body. Don't let anybody shame you about the path that you take. Don't let anybody shame you about what you decide to do or not do. You do what is best for you, because guess what? At the end of the day, you're going to be the only one dealing with the consequences of those actions. Whoever's telling you that your way isn't right, they're not going to be the ones to help you figure out how you regain mobility and strength. They're not going to be the ones that are going to help you figure out how you move forward with your life. So do whatever is best for you. Tune out the noise. I had a rant about this last night, so it's fresh. You also have to recognize that there's a point of diminishing returns. We can research to death. We can go down 1,000 rabbit holes, and there's so much that's going on with these bodies. It's so easy to find a rabbit hole to go down, but at some point, you have to take action. At some point, you just have to move, get some momentum going, because getting another diagnosis, getting another option, it's diminishing returns. So at some point, you have to move forward. This happened to me in between my 2nd and 3rd surgery. I was going for a pre-op, and I ended up at a specialist's office, and this lady who I'm telling, like, I'm crying in her office and saying, I'm going to have surgery, I'm stressed out about whatever, and then she said, have you been tested for lupus? And I said, I'm sorry, what? What do you mean tested for lupus now? Why are you telling me this? And of course, I do what I do normally. I spiral. And I think, okay, well, do I have enough time before I pack up everything to go to Germany to have surgery, to have all the tests done? And I'm like, wait, do I need to know if I have lupus right now? I don't. I need to go have this surgery, because that's my plan. That's what my body needs right now. If I do have lupus, is it going to be different than what I'm doing now? Like, I've never got a diagnosis where some doctor said, I'd like you to start smoking, eat nothing but fried foods, stay up for like 5 days at a time, and then try to just stress as much as humanly possible. That's never the treatment. So it doesn't matter at some point. Caveat, obviously, if you have a pressing medical issue, you've got to address that. I'm not telling you don't address it, but I'm saying that sometimes there's just a time and a place for where you have to put your energy and your attention. Laying a foundation with a routine. When I look back at the last 4.5 years, the best that I felt physically, mentally, emotionally is when I was consistent, when I was stacking good habits. That was something that Patty always talked about, stacking habits. We talk about sitting on the vibration plate, or standing on the vibration plate and listening to a meditation, or doing a meditation while doing two things at once. Anything that you can do to make some good habits a part of your day are critical. Also realize that you don't have to overhaul your life every week. Like, there's no need to come up with this grandiose plan every Sunday night of how you're going to be this spectacular new person on Monday. There's no need, because, spoiler, it never works. Small habits, like small micro changes day to day that just, when you do them consistently, they add up, they build up. It's like Shawshank. Remember when he goes and he just chips away at something every single day, and then there's a big gaping hole? That's it. You just have to make these small changes, and eventually there's going to be a major shift. And you also have to keep in mind that you need a routine that's going to align with how you feel. There are some days where I'm unstoppable and I can do all the things. And there are some days where I just want to rot on the couch. Both are valid. Both versions are valid. But I have to find something, a routine, that tells me that I have this much energy, that's how much routine I have for today. When I have this much energy, that's how much routine I can bust out. So I have to figure out what really works, and being flexible to figure out how to stay consistent, because then at least I'm doing something every day, trying to make myself feel a little bit better. Identifying the right support. We have such varying needs throughout this journey. Sometimes you need just the tough love. Sometimes you need the person who will let you cry and be, ugly cry and just let all of the feelings out. Sometimes you need somebody to just tell you exactly what to do. Sometimes you need somebody to just give you a path. Find what you need. It's okay. And it might not be the same person. And maybe you have two doctors that have the same specialty, but one of them delivers something in a certain way that you need and the other doesn't. But it's okay. You have to find what works for what you need. And you need to be focused on people who get it. This one is a hard one for me, because I want to tell everyone my fat is not like your fat. Let me tell you why. And let me tell you why I can't do these things, and why you want to just explain everything, because once you finally know what's happening with your body, you want everybody to understand it. But not everybody's going to get it, and not everybody has to. The people who get it, and those who don't. So connect with the people who do. Get what you need from them. And for the people who aren't going to get it, that's okay. They can still have a place in your life, but it's just not going to be as the support system that you need. Find your people. I had this discussion as well. I was thinking back to 2 years ago when I came to FDRS for the first time. I had met maybe a handful of people virtually. Patty was one of them. And I told her that she had posted about it, and I was like, I would like to go, but I don't really know anyone, and this is awkward and a little bit weird. And she said, don't worry, come and you'll love it. And I said, okay. So I knew myself, and I knew I would back out. So I submitted to speak, because I knew if I was speaking, then I would have to go, and I wasn't going to back out. So I did, and I showed up, and fortunately, I found my two emotional support extroverts who I glommed onto for the weekend and didn't leave their side as they talked to everyone, and I just followed behind like a mute, just hello, hi, that was it. And that was one of the most beautiful decisions I've ever made in my life, because the people that it brought into my life the past 2 years have absolutely saved me, have loved me, have made me feel accepted, have made me feel like I belong for the first time in my life. All of the things that came with a lifetime of not feeling at home in my body, not feeling at home in this world, all of that disappeared in this community, in this space. And it is one of the most beautiful experiences. And it's something that if I recommend anything, it's finding that, because that's irreplaceable. Finding a place where somebody sees all of the things that made you quote unquote weird, and those are the things that they love most about you, that is a feeling that is absolutely indescribable. Okay. Growing with intention. So we focus so much on the physical aspects of these diseases, of how it's affecting our body, how we need to improve it. But the mental and emotional, that's where the real work and healing happens. Because look, this is hard. All of this is hard. It's exhausting, it's draining, and if you aren't vigilant about protecting your mental and emotional peace, it can destroy you. And I don't say that to scare you. I say that for you to be mindful, because we think that when we're managing this chronic illness that it's just the body that we have to worry about. But honestly, it's the mind and the emotions, because that's where the most trouble can come. So finding ways to remain grounded, focused, clear, whether it's faith, whether it's meditation, whatever it is that helps you feel grounded and stable, that's what you need to be doing. And you have to stop and make time for resting, for reflecting. This is a hard one for me because I love a goal, and I love when I get to the goal for there to be a goal right after it so I can just get right to it, and then another one, and then another one. But I found that when I am idling high and nothing feels like it's working and everything feels like it's out of place, it's because I haven't stopped and just reflected on what is going on. And usually there's something that my body is trying to tell me, this isn't working. This used to work and it's not now. We need to do something about this that you've been ignoring. Like, there has to be a time and a place to just stop and look, because growth isn't just push forward at lightning speed and get there as fast as possible. You have to give yourself time to think about what you're doing, what you can do next, how else you can support your body, not just how do I get to this finish line. Spoiler, there's no finish line. This is forever. And lastly, seeking out and prioritizing joy. This one, I know we've heard about this all weekend long, and it's been, this one has been very difficult for me, because when I think about this, I want to plan joy. I want to micromanage it. I mean, it's the opposite of what it should be. But I think for me, when we talk about prioritizing joy, seeking out joy, it's this unadulterated, unfiltered joy. And it's that joy you had as a kid. And that, to me, when I thought of it that way, that's where the disconnect comes for me. Because like many of you here, my body changed very, very rapidly at a young age. And so I went from looking like a chubby child to a full-grown postpartum woman body in a very short amount of time. And my childhood ended when that happened. And so the joy of childhood ended when that happened. And it's sad to think about it. And when I think about prioritizing joy, what that is finding the joy that I had as a child. For those of you who were here last night and witnessed my performance to the 80s Whitney Houston banger, I Want to Dance with Somebody, there's a reason why that song is so important and special to me, because that song came out the last summer that I wasn't dieting. I started dieting when I was 8 years old, and that song reminds me of like the last little window of joy that I had as a child, to just dance, move my body, not think about my body, not hide it, not be ashamed of it. That song taps into that. So every time I hear it, I turn into a fool, but it is what it is. But that's the joy that I'm seeking, that just unfiltered, childlike joy that just like fills you, because this disease is going to take and take and take unless there's something that fills you back up and gives you something back. It's going to take until there's nothing left. Navigating with flexibility. So, advocating for your needs. This is something I always talk about, and I'm always so passionate about, because for so long I just allowed whatever medical professionals told me I needed to do. I allowed gaslighting. I allowed just never standing up and saying, something is wrong, something needs to be fixed, something is happening in my body that I don't understand. So for me, advocating for your needs, this is so critical, because whether it's just something about adjusting your treatment or finding a new resource or finding a different doctor or a therapist, you constantly have to advocate for what you need, because what you need can change, and you can't feel guilty about it. You can't feel guilty about, I needed this before and I got it from this person, now I need something else, I'm gonna have to find it somewhere else. You can't feel guilty about that, because guess what? You don't owe anybody anything. I'm going to repeat that, because some of us need to hear it more than others. You do not owe anyone anything. You owe yourself healing. You owe yourself being genuine to who you are and what you need and taking care of that body, and that is it. You don't owe anybody anything. You advocate for what you need, and don't worry about how anybody else is going to perceive that. Also, experimentation. So this one is so important. You have to just try. You have to be willing to try new things, even if they don't work, even if it doesn't make sense. Failing and experimenting, it's all part of the journey. And you have to find what works for you. And unfortunately, that can take some time. And one thing I want to caution with here, it's wonderful in our community because we share so much and we talk so much about what works and what doesn't, and I tried this and I tried that, and it's so easy to fall into the trap of, okay, so she's tried that and it was amazing for her, so I'm going to do it and it's going to be amazing for me. And if it's not amazing for me, then what happens? It was my fault. I didn't do it good enough. I should have tried harder. Maybe if I had more discipline, maybe if I was this, maybe if I was that. So you have to be careful with the experimentation of not having an expectation that I'm going to get the same result as somebody else, because look around this room. We all have similar diseases, we all have similar diagnoses, and yet the way it manifests in us is so different from person to person. So what's going to work is going to be different from person to person. So don't be afraid to take the time to invest in what you need to figure out what works best for you. And then change. Don't be worried to change. If something isn't working, it's fine. Adjust your approach. There's no failure. I'm going to repeat that for my type A perfectionists out here. I see you smiling. I know who you are. I've sensed you from before. There's no such thing as failure when it comes to taking care of your body. There is no such thing as failure. You try something, your body didn't love it. You try something else. Whether it's a success or a setback, just the fact that you're trying, that you're making an effort, that you're trying to understand what is happening with your body, that's the success. That's the success that you need to be focused on, not the outcome, not how I did it compared to somebody else, how I look, how much weight I lost, how much inches I lost, how much this. That's not the success metric. The success metric is my body needed something, I gave it to it, it worked, it didn't. That's success. So I know it's hard because we find something that works and we think, okay, I'm just going to keep doing this over and over, but unfortunately that doesn't last either. Sometimes you can be doing the same things that worked all of the time, and out of nowhere your body says, not today, thank you though. And you're just left wondering, okay, well, now what? This is what. You have to figure out how you navigate all of this with flexibility. All right. So the last thing that I just want to share is, if there's just one thing that you take away from today, just one, something that Patty told me all of the time, be gentle with yourself. I am my absolute biggest bully, and it's not even close. I am awful to myself the way that I can be awful. Be gentle with yourself. This disease is harsh, it's cruel. What it does to you physically, mentally, emotionally is so disturbing. Don't add to it. Don't add to it. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some love. Give yourself just the ability to be human and just exist in a body that is hard to live in. And just accept that that's okay too. That sometimes it's just hard to live in this body, and that's fine. And it's okay to be angry about that. It's okay to be sad about that. I always joke that there's 2 rounds of crying when you get an official diagnosis. The first is just tears of relief that you finally know what's going on with you. You finally have answers to what has been plaguing you for who knows how long. And then the second round of tears is grief at the answer, because the answer isn't great. Like, let's be honest, the answer isn't great. Yesterday we heard, I don't know how many times of, yeah, we think we know this, but we need more research. We need more research. We need more research. There's still so much that's unknown about this disease. There's still so much that's unknown about what impact it's having on our bodies and what we can do to offset some of that. And it's okay to be overwhelmed by that. It's okay. You just have to be gentle with yourself. You have to be kind to yourself and give yourself the grace to just be human as part of this process. Again, I'm not telling you that this is the absolute only way. I was just hoping to give you some tools, some strategies to be able to go through this. If anybody tells you that they figured it out, they haven't. None of us have. None of us have. The best that we can do is try to align and just do our best, but most importantly, be gentle. Thank you.